Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome back to another episode of the Heart to Heart podcast. As always, I'm the host, Gregory Hart. And today I'm joined by another LA comic. I hope I'm not screwing that up, but this man, I've been watching him for a little while now doing his stand-up comedy sets, and I gotta say, he's a different aspect on life. Okay. This guy's got a little different view on most of the things he talks about. I'm excited to chat with him, talk about the life of going and moving to a city that I've wanted to for a long time now. And he's living the life. He's living the dream. Okay. Today I'm joined by Zane Helberg. Okay. This stand-up comedian's been traveling for a bit now. He's got lots of stand-up comedy acts. Check out his Instagram, check out his website, check out his stand-up sets. Zane, I'm excited to chat with you today. I want to hear about your upbringing and find out what's been going on in your life and what got you to doing stand-up comedy.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate that. So you want me to start from the top?
I think that we're
What?
going to start off with whereabouts you grew up. Were you always in LA?
I'm originally from Tucson, Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah, I was
Wasn't warm enough or too warm or
you know, I hated growing up in Tucson. In retrospect, it was a nice place to grow up, but it was very hot, very boring, and my family moved around a lot when I was a kid. And
yeah.
so I was born in Tucson, and then from like when I was born until like age 6, we moved all over California and Texas and Arizona. And so when we landed back in Tucson, and growing up there all through elementary and high school, I
Yeah.
uh, I always dreamed of getting back to California. We always went to vacations in like Santa Monica or in in Orange County or near San Diego, and I loved the beach. And so, yes, it was obviously very hot in Tucson. And so, when I graduated high school in uh, the year 2003, which is now, so I'm going to be from,
Yeah,
I'm going to
let's
be
date ya.
40. I'm going to be 40 this year, and I know I look pretty damn good, so that's
You
fantastic.
look fucking great. God damn. I'm gonna look like a leather Buick seat by the time I'm 40. You
I
look
mean,
great, dude. I would have put you at the same age as me, dude.
how old are you?
I'm 28.
Fuck yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, your skin looks fucking good.
Dude, living out in Los Angeles and shirking life responsibilities for the past 20 years, it definitely keeps you young.
Yeah.
I don't have any
Yeah.
kids. I dick
Oh,
around a lot of
love
the
that.
day. I get to just eat good and exercise, get a lot of good sun. Keeps you young.
I need to tell my mom this. I don't think that I want kids, and I'm getting a lot of flack because I recently got married. And it just seems like everyone's got like that, you get married, you have kids, you buy a house, you fucking stick to this script. But I'm telling you right now, some of these men look fucking homeless by the age of 40 when they have kids. And I'm thinking this might be the right way to take it based on the way you're looking.
Yeah, no, I'm not having kids at all.
I love
I
that.
don't
Love
see
that.
that in
No
my
kids.
future. I would be a good dad. I will say that right now. I know I would be a phenomenal father. Everyone says I would, but it does not seem like a good time.
What is it? Is it the fact that you're just like, I don't want to deal with these bratty fucking kids, especially with today's day and age of fuck the last 10 years changing what being a fucking kid is based on playing outside or being on your phone? But is it that or is it like the selfish part? Because I'm just fucking selfish. I don't want to spend my money on someone else. I want the free time. I want to leave whenever I want and go places I want to go without having to worry about it.
Well, I mean, if I had a bunch of money, if I was a
Yeah.
millionaire, or even if I
Yeah.
was making an abundance of money and had
When?
really nothing else to do, sure, I might want some kids. But like my life is very fulfilling now, and having kids would put too much of a financial strain on me. I don't think I'd be able to afford children, one. However, I travel a lot. I my whole life is my career, which
Yeah, yeah.
sounds kind of like callous and selfish, but um I
Not
mean,
at all.
I'm an artist, I like write all day and and go out and do stand up at night and travel to do it. And I
I have a
love
million
being
questions
on the
about
road
that,
and just like
and we will
living
definitely be
and
getting into your stand-up and your writing. Did you grow up with siblings? Like, did your parents have more than one kid?
oh yeah, I've got a younger brother and I have three older half siblings. And the older siblings were in and out of our lives, and still are.
Yeah,
But I have a one younger brother who's a year younger than me, and we grew up together. And yeah,
your
he's
second.
got a kid. Everyone in my family has kids except for me. I'm the outlier.
I want to know how your brother looks at 39 or 38 if you're 39. Like we should just do like almost like a
Not as good
scientific
as
experiment
me.
here. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love
Not as
that.
good as me. He's stressed, dude. I mean, he's a realistic. He did what most people do. And I'm not knocking this at all. I wish that I could have this sort of comfort and security uh be enough for me. He has a kid, he has
Love that.
a new wife. He's got a good real estate career. He lives in a small town in Colorado. He raises the kid, he sells real estate, he snowboards and does other outdoor activities, and he is more than fulfilled. Obviously, he has goals. He's trying to make more money and make a bigger and a more abundant life for himself. But he has all of his life is set. And the idea of that for me sounds excruciting. I'm not interested in that at all. It sounds terrible.
Hey,
It honestly makes me gives me anxiety thinking about that.
did you ever have the points in your younger life, like maybe like late 20s, early 30s, middle of 30s, where you thought that like, what if you just decided to have that life instead of going after your dreams and your goals and your ambitions to do something that's
No,
not the fucking standard practice of life?
no. I mean, it's my belief that everyone should go after what they really want and what their dreams are, whether they get them or not. I personally would rather be on my deathbed, and this was a thought that I had when I was a kid. And I
Okay.
mean, this might be morbid, but as a child, I thought I'd rather be on my deathbed, thinking back, going, I tried my hardest and failed, rather than uh I wonder then rather than thinking I wonder what would have happened if I had tried.
Man, I this is exactly why I do this fucking podcast because the stand-up people in my life, nothing against them, but they all live the standard life of being happy doing their full-time job and worrying about investing in their retirement and they're just happy to go on one vacation every other year where I get into this argument all the time with my wife. Like she knows what the argument is like that I'm constantly at the point where like I would so much rather die knowing that I fucking tried. I have such a fear constantly having the fear of turning 40, turning 50 and looking back and thinking like, what if I would have fucking did it differently? Or what if I actually put all of my shit in the same basket and went after it and fucking pushed to be something that I wanted to be and that I really enjoyed? Like only recently started doing stand up, but the joy that comes from that over anything else I do is fucking on its own level. Like doing it, I said to her, I said, like, we went to LA last year, last September for a week. And just doing the bare minimum in LA of had a couple different guests on. Kim McVicker, I don't know if you've ever met her. Had her come to my place and we did an episode with Halston Ray, which is Burt Kreischer's producer. Um, and it was the excitement of doing that and going after that for 1 week, not worried about the fucking money or where I'm living or where I'm staying. I'd be happy doing a fucking Starbucks job, doing the thing that I'm happy, like comedy and podcasting full time, or well, as much free time as I have to make sure that my bills are covered, than doing anything else. It feels like it's a very hard thing for certain people to understand.
Yeah, it is a hard thing for people to understand. And I think I'll tell you, it really is not for the faint of heart. I mean, like I said, I'm 11 years older than you, almost 12 years older than you, and I'll tell you, the being in the situation that I'm in right now is much harder to maintain this lifestyle at 40 than it is when you're 28 for me. It's like
Okay.
because okay, I between um touring on the road, booking other comedians tours and opening for them, and producing a show on YouTube, I make just enough money. Okay. Like just enough. I have no savings. I I I am definitely taking a huge risk with my life. There's plenty of people out there in the world who think, okay, I need to get my retirement taken care of. I need to save money. What's going to happen to me later in life? And so I'm not taking care of any of those things. And I'll tell you, it has started to freak me out more now than it ever did. So
That's fair.
I don't know. This is not, I would not recommend this lifestyle for anyone at all. I think it's a stupid idea. I don't think that anyone should do it. I think the chances of me failing are higher. Like if we're looking statistically, if we're looking at being
The
realistic,
odds.
the odds are that I'm going to end up uh living in some fucking homeless shelter when I'm in my 60s. No kids, no money. Like, where do you go when you're incapable of working? You know, maybe I'll end up as a Walmart greeter. Which is like which is maybe an
You can
end
still do your
that's
stand-up
worse than
set
death.
there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but like the chances of me having a good end of life are very low,
I'm
right?
not gonna lie, this fucking pep talk went south, Zane. I needed
It's
you
not a
to
pep talk.
push me into this.
I think you should stop everything. The smart move, no, I'm not even joking, dude. The smart
I
move is to
know.
quit,
It's so funny.
quit, and go into something that is going to be easier to make money and have a good life. And forget about all this shit. The only reason that I do what I do is because like now I can't stop. I guess I could. In theory, I could go become a real estate agent. You can go sell cars or RVs or be a real estate agent, or I don't know, I could go to culinary school and become a chef or something. Uh, something that's got maybe an easier track to success. But I don't know, man.
When did
It's
you start? When did you start? Where did this start? Did you want to do movies? Did you want to act? Did you want to write movies? Did you want to be a stand-up comedian? Where did this start?
I mean, it's been a God. I don't know. When I was a kid, I did plays when I was a kid, children's theater, and I got the bug for being on stage, but I was a huge Jerry Seinfeld fan. Like
Shit.
right out the gate, I was a kid, and in the 90s, must see TV would come on Thursdays on NBC. It
Yep.
was the biggest thing in the United States on for entertainment television. You didn't have the internet or Netflix or anything like that, so you had to show up at your television in your living room at 8 p.m. on Thursday nights for NBC's must see TV, and there would be Friends, then Seinfeld, and then a hospital show called ER. And so my family would sit down and we would watch that. And I fell in love with Seinfeld. I thought it was the greatest thing of all time. And so much so that I would like try to do stand-up comedy bits, with like my little camcorder, and they were terrible. The very first time I ever did a stand-up bit, I had my brother in the room. I was actually telling my wife this story the other day because I don't know why this popped up. Jerry Seinfeld, I think, came up in my Instagram feed or something. But I have a little camcorder on, and I'm doing my very first like Seinfeld bit, and I'm like 10 years old, and I'm like, all right, what's the deal with the dogs, man? And like trying to do some sort of stand up. And I look at my brother and he's just sitting there on the bed watching me and he's on camera. And I'm just like, was that funny? And he's like, no, that was not funny. And we start to argue about the whole bit. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to try again. And so I do, what's the deal with the dogs? And I look at him, I'm like, well, was that funny? And he's like, no, this is bad. He's like, this is not funny at all. So I got angry and I went to go get my parents. I sat them down in the living room, turned on the tape to get their opinion of it. So it comes on, I'm going through the whole thing, and my mom's looking at me. I remember this vividly. I'm sitting next to my mom, and she's like, all right, Zane, maybe you should take a stand-up class. Being funny is really hard, not everyone's a natural. Now, as she's telling me this, what's going on the camera is my brother, when I had left the room, the camera was still on, and he just got up and was just dicking around. He picked up this little like model airplane that I had and started like buzzing it around the room and like dive bombing it into the camera, being like, boom, and just acting like a fucking idiot. So as my mom is telling me that being funny is really hard and not everyone could do it, and I should take a class, her and my dad notice my brother on the screen and burst into hysterical laughter at him. And
That's tough.
tough, dude. It was fucking devastating. I
Destroyed
haven't let go.
immediately.
It's 30 years have gone by and it still plagues me. So that's where it actually started.
When did you get on actual stage the first time? Do you remember?
Yeah, the first time I ever did stand up was I did a recital when I was 23. So I grew up, I did plays, I went to drama school. A friend of mine had taken a stand-up workshop and it was a bucket list thing. After growing up, and I wasn't a funny person, I wasn't a funny kid. No one really thought that what I did was funny, but um so it was 2008, the summer, I took a workshop that was 8 weeks to get over the fear. It was like a bucket list thing at
Yeah.
that point. I was like, I'm just going to get this out of the way. So I did stand up for the very first time. It was like July 31st. After 8 weeks of this workshop, we invited all friends and family to the Hollywood Improv to do, they called it a showcase, but it was a recital, and I did my little monologue. It was 5 minutes. I got a couple chuckles and I was like, it wasn't so bad. I had done monologues before in drama school.
At the Hollywood
And
Improv?
yeah, you can rent if you want to do a show at the Hollywood Improv, you can rent it out for like a 7 p.m. show on a Wednesday night.
Wow.
They got
That's really
nothing going
cool.
on. Yeah, so it was like, yeah, we're doing a big show at the Hollywood Improv, and I got a couple laughs or whatever, and so I got off stage, and you know, I didn't do the worst in the class. I definitely didn't do the best in the class, but I thought, okay, this isn't that bad. I'm going to try it again. And so I went back the next week. I went back to the Hollywood Improv's open mic. It's a long line, and there's a sign up list, and they pulled names out of a bucket, and my name got pulled. I went like eighth in like there's 15 or 20 people, and I went like eighth or ninth on the list, and so I'm there. And that was really the first time I ever tried doing stand up because I hadn't memorized a monologue. I had a couple things that I wanted to like say. All of the other open mic comedians there, they're now like if you were there looking at that list, you would never know, but guys who um were in the class of people when I was starting doing stand up, who were the guys who would be at this open mic because they were at every single open mic. Gerard Carmichael, Jamar Neighbors, Tony Hinchcliffe, Ty Rivera, fucking um,
Shit.
Angelo Bowers, Yasser Lester, like guys who, if you look these dudes up, they are all
Now,
successful.
yeah.
And of course, there's people who quit or whatever the fuck, but there's a strong class of dudes. They were all funny and they were all killing. Everyone was having a good time. Everyone was running around like they knew each other, and I was just terrified. And so they call my name, I go up, I go to do my bit, I open my mouth and I have like a full 8 Mile moment where I'm like choking. Like the words like aren't coming out of my
Shit.
mouth. Yeah, and I hear someone be like, "Come on, man," like giving me like courage, and I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. I was sh shell shock, frozen. I hung the mic up and ran out of there, terrified, and went to my car and cried.
Fucking A.
Uh-huh. And so that was the very first time I ever did stand up. And I called my dad, and he was like, "Well, if it can't get any worse than that." And I was like, well, okay, that's a
Fair.
very good point. And he goes, well, are you a quitter? And I'm like, no, I'm not a quitter. And he's like, okay, well, go try again somewhere. And then I did, and I got through it and started like going out to open mics, and yeah,
That's pretty crazy, especially in the LA
crazy.
scene, because from here, like I live in Canada, but following stand-up comedy so much, like you hear about the Hollywood Improv and the Comedy Store in LA, and then obviously you got like the Ice House and the Lab and all these different other comedy clubs around New York and Chicago and LA, and you're just like living in that city. It's just a different feeling from someone from Canada just to hear, or even someone outside of anywhere of LA, just to hear like I'm going to Kitchener, Ontario, and Hamilton, Ontario comedy shows right now, and you're doing your first open mic at the fucking Improv with Tony Hinchcliffe is pretty. That's a pretty spectacular way to start, and that's got to be fucking intimidating as hell. I know at that point, obviously, you don't know that Tony Hinchcliffe's going to be who he is now with Kill Tony, but it's still like to have those guys such in routine and comfortable and knowing each other and laughing and joking around. Like that's a fucking lot to even go in there to begin with. Um, when did it? Obviously, you've been doing it for a lot of years now. When did it transform into like, do you remember becoming a host and then a an opener and then a headliner?
So for many years I was really bad, but I thought I was really good. So like I and I think this that kind of carried me through a little bit. For the first couple
Yeah.
years, I had a huge ego, and I would go out and I would host open mics, or I would do bringer shows, or I would put together my own show, and uh, eventually I got like 4 or 5 years in, I became one of the just guys that are in the open mic scene. You end up getting a bar show here or there, or maybe you hear of some road work that's like 2 hours away that's not paying any money, but they'll give you 7 minutes to host the show at the brewery or something like that. Like those were the gigs that I was getting. And then in 2012, I hit an alcoholic rock bottom and got sober. And so in 2012, I quit drinking. And from
Shit.
2012 to 2017, I just bounced around open mics, kind of just like trying to get my shit together and trying to figure out where I fit in. Sometimes I was in a lot of ways better at doing stand up. In a lot of ways it was much more difficult because I wasn't drinking. Um, but I mean, in January of 2017, I um yeah, I was still like pretty it's pretty whatever. I was like I could maybe do 10, 12 minutes, and yeah, sure, I could write a kind of a joke here or there, but I still wasn't good at all. I didn't feel strong in any way at all. What I did was I was like, I need to, because stage time is so hard to come by here in Los
I
Angeles.
can't
You're
imagine.
competing with so many people, and so I was like, I need a way to
If
get
you
stage
want it to be
time.
a stage time with anyone there to watch it.
Yeah, it's just hard. So I was like, I need to get stage time. And so what I did is I was like, I'm gonna put together a little show for people in the recovery community. And then I'm gonna call a bunch of like sober livings and rehab treatment centers, and I'm gonna bring them out to a venue and I'm going to put a show on. And then that'll be like the way that I get an audience out, and I'll have a monthly show. And I put one
Shit.
on, and it was in February of 2017. And what happened was a friend of a friend worked at a hospital in Encino, California, which is like 30 minutes outside LA, 20 minutes outside LA. And
Okay.
he worked in a detox facility, and he said, "Look, I can't bring the detox patients to your show. They're detoxing off heroin, meth, and alcohol or whatever. Why don't you come here to our rec room and you can do a show here at the place?" And I thought that was a bad idea. I didn't think it was going to go well, and it didn't in the end. But we went, and we did a show for a couple people in a rec room, and they paid me a couple bucks to put the show on. And so, okay, long story short, because I could talk about this forever.
Yeah, no worries.
This became like a niche for me. I realized that I could go get in front of people if I called rehabs and went to drug rehabs and did stand up for them in their living rooms. They're always looking for something for these guys to do. They're looking for entertainment. They're looking for groups. They're looking for alternative ways to pass these guys time while they're just in the rehab. They're looking for extracurricular activities. So in 2017, I was the last time I worked at a restaurant. I quit my job at the restaurant, and I started doing stand up in drug treatment facilities full time, all around California.
You
And
start making like meth jokes or something, or like did you start
no,
fucking
it didn't
ripping on them?
matter. It didn't matter. No, I just was doing my act, bombing my ass off in front of people, and at 1 p.m. in the afternoon in a living room. There'd be like 8 people. I'd bring my speaker and I'd bring a couple other comics, and we would do a show,
And they just
you
immediately
know?
start doing drugs again. They're just fucking like, what the
Oh
fuck?
my God, dude. I mean, sometimes we would offend people, sometimes we'd piss people off, sometimes they're like, this is too much, sometimes this is
Especially they're
triggering.
detoxing, man. You fucking get the
I
wrong
mean,
person.
look, they mostly they were very grateful.
That's awesome.
99% of the time, they're like, oh my God, thank God you're here. I'm so sick of doing this fucking spiritual yoga prayer retreat session. Like, you're gonna just come here
Yeah.
and I don't have to do anything. I can just listen to you tell jokes. Great. That's fine. And so it didn't matter how well we did. They were just happy to have something new at their fucking rehab. So from 2017 till the end of 2018, that's all that I did. And I built up uh, a circuit. I was doing like 25 or 30 of these shows at these rehabs a month all over California. And it was a lot of work. It was thousands and thousands of phone calls and follow ups. And it was like I was a fucking cold call salesman, really trying to get these things together. But what happened was I actually, they were the hardest shows I've ever done in my life. I do not recommend doing them if you want to have any sanity, you know.
Still, that's such a learning curve though. Like to do it in front of that, like do it, set up your own shows in front of fucking people that are trying to get off drugs.
I
That's a
mean,
fucking tough room.
it was a very tough room, yes, but more than them trying to get off drugs, there were just a lot of them were thinking, oh, some guys are going to come in and do a sober comedy show in the middle of the day at my rehab. This is definitely going to suck. And so that's what you're fighting against as soon as you
So
say
their
hello.
expectations are just always shit.
So shit. But what that did was like that actually made me really strong. Over the course of the next 2 years, I like became a strong comedian because of that. And the rehab doing that really wasn't like a way to make a living. So in 2019, after some things happened and I lost a ton of business because things closed down, there was a fire in Malibu and
COVID, and then COVID hit the
another
next year.
well, yeah, but before COVID, in 2019, I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. So what I started doing is touring, and I started renting comedy clubs and theaters in different cities around the US and inviting people from the treatment centers, the sober livings, the AA recovery community, and I would invite all of them out, and they started showing up. So I started touring the country in 2019 doing stand up, and at first it was like, well, I'm gonna headline the show, and I would do 25 minutes of jokes. I would do all of my jokes, and then I would do crowd work for the rest of the hour. And then that slowly became, after years of doing it, I had an act, and now I'm able to do, to like, when I go out on the road, I'll do like an hour, sometimes 80 minutes, and depending on where I'm at, or what the venue's like. And that's like, that's how I get 90% of my stage time. And
How
I
did this
still can barely get booked here in Los Angeles.
That's it's still like that that sucks, obviously, especially with how fucking hard LA is. It's still just so inspiring. Like I know that maybe that wasn't your goal here, but inspiring for you to take the fact that you're not getting shows, you're not loving your stage time, you're not loving your act, you don't feel like you're a good comic. I gotta go back to you recovering because obviously this meant something to you, helping people that are in recovery or AA or have overcome addiction. But for you to
Full
first,
disclosure, full disclosure, it had nothing to do with that. I
oh, okay.
for I have no reservations about being completely transparent. I just wanted to tell dick jokes, and this was the place that I could do it.
I'm not
I just wanted a
saving
place
no
to get
one.
stage time. I did not think that this was going to, I would not like I'm not helping anyone get sober. I'm not being a savior. This is not like, this is just fully selfish. I wanted to do stand up in front of people. Sure, people are enjoying it, and a lot of people are like, "Yeah, thank you, man. I really needed that." But it was not an altruistic adventure
It's definitely a
at
fucking
all.
entrepreneur version of first off booking the shows for yourself in LA, going and make sure maybe you're not making a ton of money, you say, but you're still giving yourself a crowd to see you because you know that you don't get the opportunities in LA to do that, and then doing it across other states. Did you actually sit down and think to yourself about how, like, were you proud of yourself?
Oh, no, you don't understand. I am so proud of myself. Like
Oh, fucking all right, cool.
I real personally, I I really am beyond grateful that I was able to figure that out. Like, I do not have a 9 to 5 job. I I I make a living doing stand up, and then along the way, I'm a writer, and I have, from running my own touring company, doing my own shows, the work I did in the restaurant business, I have a lot of operational experience. And so between that and my creative writing experience, I produce a great show on YouTube. It's called World's Best Guessers. And so
Seen it.
between that show and doing stand up, I get to really live an unbelievable life. Now I do have some financial goals that have yet to been reached yet, but
That's fair.
I wouldn't trade my life for anything.
Now, let's go back to you talking about getting off of booze or drugs. I think it was just booze. Were you like, are we talking you were,
Oh yeah,
sucking
no, I'm
dick
a
for a
full
Mickey,
blown.
or what are we doing here?
No, unfortunately for all the guys out there, I never did any gay shit. But uh, I know that the mustache
Fuck.
would
Yeah.
lead you to believe otherwise.
Yeah.
But no, I'm an alcoholic, dude. I drink and I black the fuck out. I've smoked weed every
Still?
single fuck. Well, I haven't had a drink in 11 years.
Oh, fuck. Good for you.
Yeah, I just don't. Thank you. Yeah, I don't. I've been clean and sober for 11 years. I don't fuck around with that shit. But for 12 years of my life, from age 16 to 28, yeah, I blacked out 3, 4 nights a week. Whether I would have one drink or 10 drinks, I could never tell at what point I would black out. But I was gonna black out. Also, I smoked weed every single day. Uh, I did every drug known to man. If you had it, I was doing it. And I sold drugs in high school. I sold drugs in college. I was just a fucking criminal, and just fighting and drinking and just being a real piece of shit. And yeah, just get caught up to me.
Well, did this come from like someone sitting you down saying you're fucked, or you just finally came to a point where you're like, I'm done with this shit?
Well, but both things happened. So without getting into it too much because it's just a long story, I had ruined my
That's
life
fair.
for the millionth time, and I was out to lunch with a buddy. Uh, it's just this guy honestly just said the right things at the right times, but he was like, dude, you know why you're fucking no one fucks with you? It's because they don't know who you are or how you're gonna act. You're either drunk, high, happy, sad. Sometimes you're angry, sometimes you're chaotic, sometimes you're reclusive, sometimes you're friendly, and it's just you're out of control and you're always fucked up, and this is why your life is the way it is. And
That's
then
a
in
good
that
friend.
moment, yeah, it was a very yeah, he's a great I owe my life. And yeah, that it just clicked. That right there, that had been said to me a million times by a bunch of different people, family and friends and otherwise, but this moment was the moment where I heard it, and then that set me on a path of recovery.
And not everyone will tell you that when you're doing something that's not good for you or bad, or if it doesn't
No.
if it doesn't always affect their life, they're just gonna let you fucking spiral out of control. So that's obviously a
Yeah.
solid friend to tell you you're being a fool. But
Yeah.
11 years, I'm at fucking like day 70 without drinking, and that's just as a, like
Oh
a
yeah?
personal choice to like. I didn't have an alcohol issue. I would fucking spend hundreds of dollars every weekend buying liquor and beer and drinking a Friday night. Like all my plans with my friends were, well, let's get together for drinks. Oh, let's go have drinks. And it was always like, I started to not realize like, was I going to just get fucked up or were we actually doing anything that fucking mattered? Like I felt like our conversations were just like, let's play a drinking game, let's play flip cup, let's play beer pong, let's go down to the bar and grab a drink, let's shotgun beers, let's go to golf and drink. Like it was just
And all that stuff is
always,
so much fun.
it is,
It's
it
just
is.
such a great time. And then you get a little older and it's not as fun as it used to be.
No, I'm at the point now where I have like the mix of friends that still love to go out every weekend and love to have fun. And then there's the other ones that are having kids and are married and are starting to slow down. And I always thought like, when do you become a fucking bum that just wants to sit at home and do stuff for your personal life? And now I just like, I think that, excuse me, I think maybe like half a year ago was the first Friday in my entire life that I was at home and was excited to not have plans and fucking do the things that I wanted to do that I always put off to do dumb shit. Like, I don't know, maybe you just reach a certain age. You obviously had went through it with starting to prioritize the stuff that you want to fucking do instead of making plans every minute of every day and saying yes to every fucking thing that's thrown your way. But now it's just like I spent a lot of time in this studio editing, coming up with reels, doing TikToks, booking guests, and planning stand-up comedy, and it's a much more fulfilling feeling than going and spending $50 on booze and then drinking half of a bottle and going to the bar, spending more money, and then waking up feeling like a bag of shit and writing off my Sunday. Like,
Yeah, I
which
get it.
I don't see myself never drinking again. I love golfing and having a beer on the golf course, and I know that I don't have an issue where I didn't drink Monday to Thursday, so I don't think that it was a serious issue. But my dad loved to drink. My dad passed away like in 2019, just before in 2019, and he drank a lot. Like not to the point where I'd call him an alcoholic by any means, but he drank every night after work. He'd have a handful of beers. He'd drink on weekends and get to the point of being drunk and died of liver and kidney failure. Now, I'm not saying like he had hematoma-necrosis. There's a lot of other fucking shit that was wrong with his body, but it didn't fucking help. And like
No.
you always get that feeling or fear of becoming your parents. So I obviously have that fear, and it feels good to be at 70 days. It feels good to not. I haven't craved it. I haven't really cared. It's nice to not have to spend the money, and I'm sick of being a fat piece of shit, so I should probably try and start losing some weight, and beer doesn't help that. So,
That's good, man. Well,
anyway,
congratulations.
yeah, thanks. Telling a guy who's been 11 years without drinking because he had an alcohol problem, hey, Can you just
Bro,
congratulate me for my
dude,
70 days?
having 11 years is so much easier than getting 70 days.
That's fair.
I
That's
mean, I
fair.
don't give a fuck about alcohol anymore. I haven't thought about alcohol in a long time. When people
Good for you.
drink, it's just like not, it is not even a thing I think about. I go out and I do a bunch of cool shit with people, and I'm just like the guy who's not drinking. And it's weirder for those people than it is for me. It's just
Yeah, that's fair.
it's a complete non-issue for me. Uh it's as if I had like an allergy to red meat. I just don't
Yeah.
eat red meat and I don't give a fuck about it and I don't talk about it or care. But, if I was out in Texas and people were eating barbecue, they'd probably be like, "Oh, are you sure are you sure you're okay coming to the barbecue place even though you're not going to eat the red meat?" And it's like I honestly don't
Now,
give a fuck.
side note, you do eat red meat?
I do eat red meat. That was just a terrible
Okay.
analogy.
I was gonna say that was
That was just a bad analogy.
crossing you off the list here. Just kidding. But it's yeah, it's a weird thing to try and even fucking think at all that I relate to because it wasn't a serious issue, but it definitely was something that you don't think to stop. And I feel like I would have just drank every weekend for the rest of my fucking life and just been have that swollen fucking gut and not the same skin as you. So I just don't see how that's a benefit. Like I might as well just quit now if I can see what I'm going to look like at 40. That's pretty decent. Um,
I don't know if you have more important things to do with your life and you've got goals and you've got artistic endeavors that you need to attend to on the weekends because you're going to work every day. Like there's only so much time. And again, there's plenty of people who go to work Monday through Friday. They take the edge off with a couple drinks when they get home. They go watch football on the weekends, or they go to the lake or golf and they have a couple beers and that's their life and they enjoy it. And I love that for them.
that's fair.
Personally, I don't have the time to be fucked up. It's Sunday afternoon. We're doing a podcast. Like most people are hanging out drinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before this, from
That's
10 to
very
1 on
true.
Sundays, I do a writers group. Yesterday I was in Palm Springs. I had to drive 3 hours to do, I did actually a show at a rehab yesterday at 11 a.m. And then I had to drive back. There's just like, there's too much shit going on for me to be fucked up.
It's also a much stronger thing for you to do, especially for 11 years doing stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy is around alcohol. I know it doesn't have to be, especially when you're doing fucking rehab clinics, but you're going to
But
fucking
again, if you
9,
stay
10,
sober
11
a
o'clock.
while, if you stay sober a while, and especially if you're a comic who's sober a while, you're around bars all the time and alcohol. Again, alcohol is not an issue for me. Being in a bar,
True.
it doesn't, I don't even think about it at all. Being like, oh, I'll take a club soda. That's just like not a big deal.
Wild change of subjects ish. Did you ever have issues with like depression when you came off alcohol?
Oh yeah, no, I've been depressed my whole life. And I actually just in during the pandemic, I just got on Wellbutrin and it changed my entire life for the
I'm
better.
on
Oh my God.
Wellbutrin.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
I've been on it for a month. Are you at
Okay.
300 milligrams
No,
or
I do the
150?
150. I
I'm
do the
on
150.
150 too.
So before Wellbutrin, while I was drinking, when I wasn't drinking, before I was drinking when I was a kid, once or twice a week, I would say that I had these down days
Okay.
where I just could not get anything done. I could at least at the minimum 3 times a month, I would be on the couch just incapable of existing, really. I couldn't do my chores, I couldn't work, I couldn't, let alone interact with people. And as soon as I started taking Wellbutrin, uh, I haven't had one of those days since.
See, sorry, how long did you say you've been on it?
I guess now 21, 22, 23, 3.5 years.
I I grew up with a fucking wild ADHD. I was on like Ritalin and Concerta my whole childhood till the time I was probably like 16. And it was just like I always had a billion things to want to do all the time. I couldn't focus on anything for longer than 7 seconds. But by the time I reached like 18-ish and hit probably 16, actually, that's when I got off of Ritalin, but probably like hit puberty and it didn't take over me as much and I got off of it. But last, not this past November, but the November before that, I was in an accident. I was in a car accident and fractured my skull. Was in the ICU for a little bit. And after that, my ADHD fucking hit again, where it was I would have those days. I don't know if they were the exact same days as you, but sitting on the couch where I felt like I was a fucking loser for not doing a million things that day. I had a fucking billion things on my to-do list and there were so many of them. I couldn't choose one to do. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to podcast. I didn't want to do stand up. I questioned fucking everything. I
Oh
questioned
yeah.
if I wanted to do them. I questioned if I ever wanted to do them again or if I'm doing my whole fucking life wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
it was definitely a feeling that I'd never fucking felt before. I never really understood depression or being on antidepressants, and I fucking about a month after my accident, they recommended Wellbutrin to me, and I said no. I really wanted to try and get through it myself, and I fucking couldn't. Until about a month ago, I was just so sick of having so many things that I wanted to do and fucking doing none of them. And I've been on it for a month, and I finally got this studio finished just like a month ago, like probably a week after I was on it. And it just feels like I have an easier time not jumping over my own words or switching subjects a billion times and just staying focused. He said doctor at least said that it would help with ADHD and depression. But anyway, it's just I've never really I've said on a podcast once before with my wife that I'm on it, but I don't really know anybody that's on it. So it's kind of nice to relate to someone, especially someone that's been on it for a
Yeah,
few years. And
I know a bunch of people who are on antidepressants. Uh some people love it, some people don't. Some people don't want to be people who are on pills. I love it. I got really lucky. A lot of people struggle with finding the right pill. I got the right pill right away. And like a month in of taking it, it's got into my system and I really started to feel the effects, um of or the lack of the depression, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
The lack of the pain
Hmm.
that was going on. Um and yeah, I'm just happy that I have a solution. Like I don't care if
Fair.
I need to take a pill every day. I honestly don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal to me. And I don't know. Everyone's different. Everyone has their own beliefs or whatever. And I'm not a doctor, but what I do definitely works for me. And I'm not ashamed of it at all. I don't think
I
it's a
think
big
I just
deal.
always had the fear of like taking anything for the rest of my life. Like, what side effects is it gonna have? Just being an idiot 28-year-old of not knowing that this fucking drug's been out for decades and it's helped so many people. And it's
Also,
not
you can't
seeming
see the
like
future. You never know what's going to happen 20 years from now.
I just started to realize like, do I spend the next fucking decade getting fuck all accomplished and being sick of the way I feel so that I don't have a side effect later on in my life that I don't even know is going to happen? Or do I start taking the fucking drug and figuring my shit out? Like, what? Like, I just started weighing the fact of like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like, don't become 50 and still fucked in your head. And now you have fucking dementia anyway.
Yeah.
So who gives a fuck? Just take the drug. Like, but I,
Yeah.
you, it's cool. It's exact. I knew that you were on Wellbutrin. Obviously, brought it up in an easier way than just asking, "Hey, are you on depression medication?" I think you talked about it in one of your stand-up acts that I was watching. But it's just nice to have someone that you can relate to. I know it's not as easy all the time to be able to relate to someone, but with you doing stand-up and not giving up on the shit you want to do as much as you say, if you could give someone the fucking advice if you to fucking quit now,
Don't do
I
it. It's
get
a bad
that.
idea, dude. It
I
is a
get
hard
it.
road, man.
I know, I get it. Well, I don't fully understand. Obviously, you're deeper
How long
into
you
it.
been doing stand up?
I've only done like 10 open mics, so
Okay,
I
yeah, yeah,
enjoy
yeah.
them. I love them, but it's
Yeah.
an hour drive for me to get to a single open mic from where I live. So
Damn.
it's
What city do you live
yeah.
in?
I live in a very small town outside of Woodstock, Ontario, Canada. So I'm an hour and a half to Toronto. An hour to Hamilton. I'm 45 minutes to Kitchener, and I'm an hour to London, Ontario. If you know where any of those places are, you
I
know where
don't
Toronto
know.
is.
Oh yeah, I know where Toronto is. Yeah, yeah.
Hamilton has a comedy club called Levity.
Okay.
You know who
Yeah.
Jonas Pappas is?
Yeah.
He opened like he it's not his club, but he was the first name to come there and do it.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
but we used to have a bunch of yuck yucks where I would have been like a half hour from a yuck yucks, but now they took down all their permanent buildings. They were kind of like, did you know you've heard of yuck yucks?
Yeah, I've heard of Yuck
I
Yucks.
think it
There's
was
like a
like
chain of
our
comedy
improv,
clubs.
right? Like you have an improv in a bunch of different cities.
Right. Yeah.
It was kind of like that, but they tore them all down and now they're like they travel, like they do pop-up shows in bars and breweries and restaurants and they don't have an actual fixed location where there's an open mic. So
Mm.
anyway, I've been doing it for I was just started to do it before my accident and then spent about half of a year recovering from it and getting my fucking shit figured out. So I've done 4 open mics in like the past month.
Oh, good.
Um I would love I that's where I have those fucking where like I said those moments of like where you don't know what you're doing if you're doing the right thing if you should change your life to be living a fucking full-time regular job with a happy family and a nice house. I think about moving to Austin, Texas or moving to Los Angeles. It's hard as fuck for a Canadian because I have to get a visa and figure all that shit out, but I just would
I
love the
will tell
idea.
you, stand, but do if you want to do stand up for a living, it's obviously really hard to get there, but you definitely have to do it every day
Yeah.
of your life to learn the trade, you
And I
know?
can respect that. I understand like being very new to the comedy side, I've interviewed a lot of comedians and even listening to podcasts, like I went to LA for a week, and in one day that I was there, I saw Nikki Glazer, Craig Robinson, um, Patton Oswald. I've interviewed Brian. Uh, fuck, he hosts a show at the Hollywood Improv. Brian Monarch. I interviewed him originally, but those guys were going from the Comedy Store for an early show to the Improv to do a second show, back to the Comedy Store, and these fucking comics are touring, and they're still putting themselves through the repetition and trying new bits, and they've got a notebook and they're fucking flying through shit. I'm like, these guys are doing it full time, have fucking massive fan groups, and they're doing it 3 times a night while they're still on tour. I knew that like even going for my 4th time, I started to realize how much getting back on stage fast after doing a set, how much it helped fucking around with the wording and the way you did that set.
Yeah.
Um, so I can't imagine like that's one of the main reasons why I want to move. I would love to be walking distance or at least a 10-minute drive to 10 different clubs, like these bigger cities. Like the States have so many more stand-up comedy clubs than fucking Canada. Like I'd have to move to Toronto really if I wanted to be anywhere near any of them to be at a
Yeah.
bigger facility anyway. But anyway, enough fucking about me. I wanted to hear more about you.
It's all good.
YouTube World's Best Guesser. I got that on my list here. I started watching a bunch of them. Where did
Oh
this
yeah.
come? Did you just start producing certain things and like this
No,
is a
so I ran
fucking very successful
into
YouTube?
a year and a half ago. I was producing with a studio. I ran into a guy named Kevin Lang who has a channel, has had a YouTube channel. He wanted to start doing a rebrand. I became his producer, and we clicked. We just clicked,
Nice.
and uh, I'm he's the Jerry Seinfeld to my Larry David. I'm the Quincy Jones to his Will Smith. You know what I mean? I'm the Neil
Yeah,
Brennan
yeah.
to his Dave Chappelle. And we rebranded the show to just guessing videos, and it slowly started to build and take off. And actually today our clips just passed 1 billion views on TikTok
Oh,
and
shit.
100 million views on, where is this? This must be YouTube. Yeah, on YouTube.
Okay,
Yeah,
first
we have
off,
the fastest growing and one of the most successful YouTube channels out, and it's the greatest. It's the fucking greatest. Kevin's great. We get comedians on the show to play a game show where there's like one real doctor and four actors, and the panel has to guess who's
yeah.
who. And uh I choose a lot of the videos we do, and then I write the bits and the prompts and the segments, and Kevin and I, you know, go through all of the show, and then so I write all the stuff with him, and um then I produce the show, and I get the crew
Okay,
together, and
the
I'm effectively
producing
the
of that kind of
showrunner.
stuff means so much. You obviously know that, but I was so stupid into making videos. I thought, I have a really funny fucking idea. Let's do it. And realized like certain stuff didn't work views wise. Then I started realizing like you can record a fucking long video like the world's best guesser, and it can be funny. Like there can be funny things in it. But if it's just a fucking blank video where no change in frame or no cutting to certain things or changing to certain people's reactions, like I fucking caught myself. I saw that you had produced it and went and watched one, and a fucking 30 minutes later, I'm like, I'm supposed to be writing fucking questions right now for Zane, and I'm just like
It's an
finding out
engaging
which.
show.
Yeah, it is like trying to figure out
We
which
have
one
the
the
absolute best editor. We have a YouTube Streamy nominated editor. He's one of the best in the business. He's a young guy. Kevin is a pro. Kevin is the hardest working. Uh, he's one of the hardest working men I've ever met in my life. He knows YouTube. He's a marketing genius. His degrees in marketing. And we're dialed in on the brand, And so now, um, yeah, we're all experts in producing high quality YouTube game shows, and
Do you
it's
think
just
that
what it
that
is.
ruins a channel if you do too many different things? Not even just YouTube, but like an Instagram page. If you're doing stand up, then you're fucking cooking. Like you're. Do you think you need
Well,
to have a
yeah, think
niche?
about it. Like, think about, okay, let's say, what's your favorite show on television? Do you have one?
Fuck, that's a good question. Like I was always a
What's a
like.
show you like?
I don't watch a ton of TV. I always watch like How I Met Your Mother,
Okay, How I
Friends,
Met Your
like that
Mother.
kind of
That's a
stuff.
very popular show. How I Met Your Mother, every single week, is a group of friends who hang out and get into some wacky business. If that show was on a different night of the week every week. Sometimes it was a crime show. Sometimes it was a chef show. Sometimes they did stand-up comedy. Sometimes it was them hanging out, getting into situations. You wouldn't know what the fuck the show was. You'd be like, what is happening here? I don't know when the show is. I don't know what it's about. I don't really know what the thing is. But you like How I Met Your Mother because they do the show. They do the same thing over and over. And so
That's fair. Hmm.
what we decided a year ago was that we were going to rebrand Kevin's channel from a YouTube channel where he did a bunch of random videos to a show. We do a show. That's just what it is. And the reason a lot of the reason people come back to it is because they're familiar with it. They know what it is. They want to play along. They like the show, and they go, "Hey, I want to watch this show again." People watch The Price is Right. I don't know if you have that in Canada. Price is Right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
on television every
Bob
single
Barker. Well, it
day.
was,
Yeah, it was Bob Barker. Now it's Drew Carey, and it's been on the show, been on the television every day for the past 50 years, and they haven't
and it
changed the
is the
format.
same thing.
It's the same thing over and over and over again. So yeah, I think
It's a very good way to put it.
that's just the nature of branding. And if you want to get big, and this is something I personally struggle with, all my Instagram and TikToks and YouTube is just stand up. So there's no guarantee that it's going to work. My following is very small. I fucking posted So we just hit 1 billion views on our world's best guesser fucking channel, and I posted a stand-up clip today, and it's got less than 500 views. You know, I have 3,800 followers on Instagram. I've been posting stand-up clips for years. No one gives a fuck. You know, so you can't just, it's not just posting the same stuff. You've got to you've
That's
got to
fair.
do something that people are going to be into. Apparently, uh my my stand-up comedy apparently isn't for the masses, not yet at least. So there's no guarantee that it's all going to work. But definitely,
I
in my
see the
opinion,
opinion though. I
having a
see where
brand
you're coming from.
helps. That's
I
what
definitely see where
that's
you're
like
coming from.
our school of thought, because a lot of YouTube does not do that, you know. And but YouTube, the platform is changing, and the people who watch YouTube are growing up. They're growing up with YouTube. Their attention spans are becoming different. Their needs and their wants and their tastes are becoming more adult and refined. So what you're going to start seeing is more shows just like ours, which feel like a half-hour show in whatever capacity.
That's
Even
fair.
Mr. Beast, who's like the biggest YouTuber, his his videos are slower. There's more of a story. It's like watching a like a version of a reality game show each week, you know?
Honestly, any of those tips fucking help. Like it feels like when you start, it's like you're fucking just so blank of what the fuck is the right way to get people to watch your stuff, the stuff that you enjoy doing. Like I've had the handful of clips hit 1 million, then the rest hit like 200, 500, 1,000. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
There's
have the
no, there's
answer.
no fucking written answer
I
for
don't
this
have the
shit.
fuck. I don't have the
No one
answer.
does. Like I know that some
I'm
stuff
looking for
works.
the answer. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that right now. I'm
All right,
definitely looking for the answer.
I got four world's best guesser ideas to give you before we leave.
Okay.
Three. I have three.
Okay.
What if you did four women, one man? Okay. Five women, one man, but we don't know. We don't. You think
And
that
it's
goes well on YouTube?
guess the secret man.
Guess the secret man.
All right, that's an idea. I'm not gonna immediately poo-poo it.
Might not sell with the current audience of that show.
No, I mean
Um,
I mean anything's possible.
what about parents pairing kids with their parents?
Okay, that's
Did it?
interesting. That well, yeah, we just did that. That video is coming out in April.
Nice. I know some good shit. Um, this was maybe you're not, I don't know. Addicts and what drug they're addicted to.
So we thought of that. However, our YouTube partner manager declined that.
I could see that. People would be
So
upset.
there's certain things that you can't talk about on YouTube that are off limits for advertising, and that includes drugs and sex and
Hmm.
violence in a lot of ways. So yeah.
That's fair. That's
So we could
fair.
do it. It would probably do well, but we wouldn't be able to
Monetize on it.
monetize on it. So yeah, we have to be a little tame.
Well, I gotta say, Zane, it's been very nice to talk to someone from LA going after it. Maybe telling me that, I should fucking stop, but that's fine. I'll figure it out. I maybe won't stop. I maybe will stop. Maybe I'll be 40 someday and I'll send you a DM saying, fuck, you were right. What am I doing? But hopefully that doesn't happen. I appreciate chatting with you and how open you are about the issue with alcohol, being on Wellbutrin, your stand up and going to rehab clinics. Like it does seem like you're a fucking grinder. Not like the app, but just like, you like to go after it. Thank you. Thank you for joining a fucking small town Canadian kid in a fucking podcast in his basement. I appreciate that.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It was a good chat. And I wish
Yeah,
you the best. And you can when you come out to LA, hit me up.
we'll do. I'll definitely interview you in person someday and come see your stand up. So I
Hell
appreciate
yeah.
your time. And where can people come see you? Where can people check you out?
Just go to my
Zane.
website, zanehelbergcomedy.com. On Instagram, Zane Helberg. My ticket links are everywhere. But yeah, just follow me online. Tell your friends about me. That's the thing you can
Genuinely,
do. Tell your friends about me. That is because the
I
internet is not giving me all the love. It's got to be word of mouth.
and I agree. Like your stand up actually is fucking very funny, and a lot of it
Thank
is
you.
very relatable. Like you talk about like life and stories, not just like one hitter bits. Like your crowd work is great. Like that's something that it's that's the thing that doesn't fucking make sense. Like obviously we're just finishing up here, but who's the fucking hot dude that people want to fuck that does crowd work?
Matt Rife.
Matt Rife. It's like if this guy didn't have a chiseled chin, like are we like his crowd work is good. Don't get me wrong. He seems pretty quick and witty, but like the fucking thing, like I don't know how many times he does shows where the crowd work happens where he happens to get these clips, but your crowd work's great. Go check him out. ZaneHelberg.com. .ca? The fuck's the US? It's .com.
Yeah, .com. Zane
ZaneHelberg.com.
Helberg
Check him out on Instagram.
ZaneHelbergComedy.com.
ZaneHelbergComedy.com. Check him out. Follow him on Instagram. Check out his videos. I appreciate you, Zane. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Talk to you.
All right, bye.